From the Ministry of the Presidency in Georgetown, this is This Week with the President.
Welcome to This Week with the President, a weekly news magazine which provides you with an in-depth look at the policies, programs, and work of Guyana's President. In the highlights this week, President said that bold initiatives in 2017 budget will pay dividends. President calls for constant vigilance at location Etteringbang, and ratification of climate change agreement celebrated as Guyana pursues green agenda. Better social services, improved infrastructure, enhanced public security, and advancing the country's green state transition. These are just some of the major objectives of the national budget for fiscal year 2017, which was presented to the National Assembly on November 28. President Granger explained that the country must take cognizance of the resources it has at its disposal and said that the $250 billion budget has some bold initiatives which will, as part of the 5-year development plan, pay dividends and will deliver on the promise of a good life.
Unless we are going to stand still or fall backwards as a country, we have to have a forward-looking budget. And I think this is a courageous budget which is going to move the country forward. And for that reason, I think Guyana has to be prepared for change. And this budget is a budget that is going to bring about change. So for that reason, I think the population should look critically at the budget, the whole budget, not just bits and pieces. Look at the whole budget. Is this a vehicle which can move the country forward to that good life, that better life that we promise? And I think it is. I think that we are closer to achieving those goals with this type of budget.
The budget introduced a number of measures that are aimed at stimulating the economy and creating employment, key among which is the reduction of the value-added tax from 14% to 16%, reduction of the income tax from 30% to 28% for persons earning less than $180,000 per month, an increase in old age pension and public assistance.
So I think it's a rounded budget. It caters for economic change, it caters for social protection, and it caters for greater security in terms of the ability of citizens to live in peace and safety from criminal attack. So taken as a whole, I think the budget provides for all of the needs of citizens during financial year 2017. That is my overview. Everything has been covered. There are 15 ministries, and any citizen reading the budget could see for himself or herself what is going to happen in education, what's going to happen in public security, what's going to happen in public infrastructure, what's going to happen in public health, what's going to happen in public telecommunications. And every citizen can follow where we are now and where we're going to. So my overview is that it is a budget which is easy for citizens to follow and come to conclusions themselves.
The budget also imposes VAT on water bills that exceed $1,500 and electricity bills that exceed $10,000. The President explained that this was done mainly to encourage a culture of conservation.
Government runs by taxation. The government provides a lot of services, as I mentioned just now, social services, public infrastructure, public health, education. And where does the money come from? It comes from taxation. And VAT is part of the taxation system of the country. And it's not just to earn revenue, it is also intended to guide people's choices. In the case of water and electricity, it's not punitive, it is curative in the sense that persons who waste water would now be more careful in the use of water. So, as you notice, it's not a tax on water, it's a tax on excessive use of water. So, I think we have to interpret the measures in terms of the policies which the government intends to achieve or implement. So, it's not taxes for the sake of taxes to modify public behavior, human behavior.
This year, $2.5 billion has been budgeted for the construction, rehabilitation, and overall development of shipping facilities in regions 3, 4, and 5, and $262.5 million for roads.
The ministry will continue its commitment to have our mobile asphalt plant dispatched to another remote location in 2017 and bring to the people in those regions things that they only dreamt of. They only dreamt of, sir. Sir, the budget 2017 has provisions for miscellaneous roads and urban roads at the tune of $1.15 billion for miscellaneous roads and $1.03 billion for urban roads. Sir, for the avoidance of doubt, all doubt, sir, and I know that when we come to examine the estimate, there may be some queries on these things. I want to state now that the allocations for every region, roadworks in every region has increased significantly in budget 2017. MP, Honorable Member Damon, you would probably be pleased to know that sir, through you, Mr. Speaker, Region 2, sir, the allocation for Region 2 roads, sir, has risen by 56%, sir. In Region 3, sir, it's 23%. Sir, in Region 5, 29%. Sir, Region 6, sir, is 22%. Sir, in urban roads, sir, the same urban roads, sir, is roads throughout townships, sir, the exact same thing is to Region 2. The MP would be pleased to know has risen by 33% in 2016. Region 4 by 35%. Sir, in this year's allocation, sir, we have, for the first time, because of the new townships, we have allocations for regions 1, 7, and 9, totaling $370 million, and we'll be addressing the townships there.
A total of $20.6 billion has been allocated to the agriculture sector to help develop its subsectors and to promote agricultural diversification. This is in addition to $9 billion that has been budgeted for Gaisuku.
Between July 2015 and December 2016, this government would have provided Gaisuku with $23 billion in support. Gaisuku has advised that should the industry remain as presently structured, it would require subsidies from the government in the sum of $18.6 billion and $21.4 billion for the years 2017 and 2018, respectively. Where is this money to come from without causing serious dislocation to other sectors of the economy, which are also in great need of investment? What is even of greater concern to the government is that this magnitude of subsidy would have no positive effect on the financial state of Gaisuku. Because of the prevailing sugar prices and Guyana's cost structure, the corporation will continue to lose billions of dollars each year and will continue to require billions of dollars in subsidy also each year, despite significant increases in production. The economy simply cannot afford this. Government is deeply concerned about the future well-being of the sugar workers and their families. Government is also deeply concerned about the state of the other sectors of the economy and the critical need for investment in these sectors. It would be irresponsible of this government to not sensibly address these challenges in a sustainable manner. Therefore, in relation to Gaisuku and the sugar industry, the government has appointed a cabinet subcommittee to recommend the way forward for the industry after taking into consideration the recommendation of the Commission of Inquiry into Gaisuku, the report of the cabinet-appointed Committee on Diversification of the Industry, and recommendations emanating from the corporation itself, inter alia.
The 2017 budget provides $43.1 billion to improve the delivery and quality of education in Guyana. This amounts to 17.2% of the entire budget. Included in this is $1.9 billion for the school feeding program and $3.5 billion for the rehabilitation of schools. The health sector, on the other hand, received $31.2 billion in the budget, a total of 12.5% of the overall budget. This allocation will see further improvements of all primary healthcare institutions and transformation of the country's premier health facility, the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation.
The Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation provides the highest level of care within the government-owned and operated healthcare system. This hospital has been undergoing a transformation to better meet its mandate. Its capacity for higher quality and complex care has increased significantly in all the major specialties. It has an expanded program for cardiac care, including invasive cardiology and open heart surgery. Mr. Speaker, only last Friday, I commissioned the cardiac intensive care unit at that institution. Also, there are joint replacement and spinal surgeries, renal replacement program, including renal transplant, enhanced oncology, enhanced neonatal and pediatric programs, along with obstetrics and gynecology. As a result, Mr. Speaker, there is pressure and demand for more space and infrastructure resources within this institution. We of the coalition government are the first to recognize this condition, and we are committed to doing all we can as soon as possible to correct this situation.
The budget was presented under the theme, Building a Diversified Green Economy, Delivering the Good Life to All Guyanese. It makes provisions for all of the sectors of the economy while at the same time maintaining macroeconomic stability.
This is the biggest budget. Well, you can say that every year, $250 billion. And of course, there's a deficit. There are many more things we would like to do. I wish I could, build a bridge over the Demarara River by next December. I wish I could build a highway. I wish I could give University of Guyana $10 billion. But it just happened that I have to give Gaisuco $10 billion. So there are limited resources, and I can't change that. So, yeah, there are things I would like to add, but we don't have the resources. That is why we have to have taxation. That's why we have to have legislation. That's why we have to have a plan for implementation, which is going to make best use of our limited resources. There's never enough. We have a very important social program. We need to improve education. We need to, the minister said so. We need to improve physical infrastructure. We need to ensure that security is improved.
With Guyana in the process of seeking a permanent juridical settlement of the 50-year-old border controversy with Venezuela, the President calls on soldiers, police, and citizens who reside in the Etteringbang area to remain vigilant and to ensure that the country's sovereignty is not compromised. On Monday, the head of state visited the Etteringbang base where he served lunch to ranks of the armed forces who were posted there. This activity has become a year-end tradition that allows for servicemen to interact with their commander-in-chief in a more informal setting. It also allows for the President and the armed forces to take stock of what has been accomplished during the past 11 months and to identify areas in which more work needs to be done.
So today, the police and the army are deployed to the four corners of this country, from Moriala to Arau, from the Amakura down to Achiweb and further on to Masakaneri. And this is a permanent duty and obligation that we have to the people of our country, by day or by night, whether it's swamp, mountain, river, we have a duty to our fellow citizens.
The President said that as far as Guyana is concerned, the border controversy with Venezuela has been definitively settled 117 years ago with the signing of the Geneva Agreement. However, the neighboring state has refused to abide by that agreement. Against this background, the President told the soldiers that love for country must be foremost on their agendas as persons who are responsible for protecting the country's territorial integrity.
This Cuyuni River is important to us. It is a definition of our sovereignty. And your duty as soldiers and policemen is to draw the line so that the world would know where Venezuela stops, where Guyana begins. But people across the border must understand that this territory is ours. For 117 years, the court gave a ruling. And in 1899, the court gave Venezuela a part of our territory near to the Amakura. because they were afraid that if we were too close to the Orinoco Delta, it would interfere with the shipping. Over 5,000 square kilometers were given to Venezuela in 1899, and they accepted it until Guyana started to come close to independence.
Guyana has 3,000 kilometers of borders, over 1,300 with Brazil, 800 with Venezuela, and 830 kilometers with Suriname. The president said that the government cannot protect its extensive border and a long stretch of coastline on its own. It needs the support of all stakeholders.
We can live in peace. Guyana and Venezuela could live in peace. We live in peace with Brazil. And we can live in peace with Venezuela. We cannot stop being vigilant, because this land belongs not only to us, because we're just the trustees. When you're dead, you can't carry it with you. If you're a Hindu, you can't put it on the funeral pyre. If you're a Muslim, you can't bury it. You have to leave it to your children and grandchildren. And we have a duty to give them as much or more than we receive from our parents and foreparents. So you here, soldiers and policemen and civilians, you are the eyes and ears at this westernmost point of Guyana to keep us informed and to let us know if there's any breach of our territorial integrity by the sindicatos, by the Guardia Nacional, by the Fuerzas Armadas. All of them must understand and respect our territorial integrity.
The president thanked the soldiers for their service to Guyana and said that while many of them will be unable to be with their families during the holiday season, they must know that Guyanese are proud and grateful to them for their service. After serving lunch to the servicemen and villagers who were invited to be part of the festivities on the base, the head of state visited the Etteringbank police station to get a first-hand look at the facilities there. As the process of transitioning into a green state continues to be advanced in keeping with the Paris Climate Agreement and Guyana's push towards green development, the president underscored the importance of partnerships and financing, particularly for small developing states in the Caribbean, which are most vulnerable to climate change. On Tuesday, the European Union hosted an event to mark the ratification of the landmark Paris Agreement, which provides the framework for accelerating the global transition to a climate-resilient, low-carbon future. President Granger attended the event, which was held at the Marriott Hotel, where he outlined 3 critical partnership areas for Guyana in support of climate financing in the international fight against the effects of climate change.
First, coastal zone management, which must be improved, and sea defenses must be repaired and rebuilt to protect the low-lying coastline against rising sea levels. Second, drainage systems must be redesigned and water storage and supply systems must be expanded to prevent flooding in times of high levels of rainfall and to store fresh water in times of need. And third, hydrometeorological services must be modernized to improve weather forecasting in order to contribute to protecting our settlements and our farms.
The head of state emphasized that adaptation is necessary in order to build greater resilience against the effects of climate change. However, this could be extremely costly for a country like Guyana, which he said requires a level of financing that is beyond its slender resources. It is for this reason, he said, partnerships are extremely necessary.
Guyana is pursuing a low-carbon, low-emission, green trajectory of economic development. Guyana will become a green state. Cooperation with Guyana is a global good. The Guyana-European Union partnership has remained relevant, resilient, and responsive to the changing threats for over 4 decades. Guyana is grateful for the support it has received from the European Union and expects further fruitful cooperation in the future, especially for climate adaptation.
The Paris Agreement was signed on April 22 in New York. It was adopted at the 21st session of the Conference of Parties. Thus far, it has been ratified by 115 parties representing 79% of the global emission.
We acknowledge and welcome the Guyanese government's actions on climate change, for example, the low carbon development strategy and the green agenda, and of course Guyana's early ratification of the Paris Agreement and its commitment to the 2030 agenda. Last year, the EU and its member states provided almost 18 billion euros to help developing countries tackle climate change. This is a significant increase compared to the previous year and a clear sign that we are committed to do our fair share to meet the goal of delivering $100 billion per year by 2020. Climate change poses special risk for 6 countries such as Guyana. Even that much of its coastline lies below sea level, and rising sea levels are a direct consequence of climate change. The EU has been supporting climate change adaptation in Guyana over the years, and the new 11th European Development Fund program will see a doubling of funding to 30 million euros to address sea and river defenses and stormwater drainage in Guyana.
France's ambassador to Guyana, Mr. Michel Prom, said that the Caribbean countries, particularly Guyana, is on the forefront of the fight against climate change, but noted that a lot more needs to be done to reach the 2020 goals.
The COP22 gave the opportunity to move forward on alliances and coalitions in the frame of the agenda for action, such as partnership with the African Development Bank for Renewable Energies, International Solar Alliance, which was launched by India and France. France also commits 10 million euros for the cruise initiatives concerning early warning of natural disaster and different initiatives and plans regarding the link between climate and ocean. As it was recalled by Ambassador Videtic, Caribbean countries are at the forefront of the fight, particularly Guyana. They are the most exposed to the effect of climate disturbance. France, as part of the Caribbean, is completely conscious of the situation.
The formal part of the ceremony was followed by a concert performed by the Clemsville Music Ensemble, a local orchestra that specializes in classical chamber music. The group, which included a world-class violinist and an opera singer, gave stirring renditions of classical waltzes, national songs, and Christmas carols.
Vales and placid streams, near the evening star, I cannot, though their wealth be great, their scenery be grand, for none so fair as can compare.
And now let's take a look inside the President's diary. As the festive season gets underway, the President commenced his annual toy distribution exercise. Last week, hundreds of children at Buxton and Lusignan Good Hope area received early Christmas presents.
We believe that you are the future of Guyana. And day by day, year by year, we expect that things will be better. And you all will be able to inherit a better country than we were born into. Coming here is a very important part of our duty. It is my obligation to come to Buxton Friendship because our government is concerned about children. What is good for children of Guyana is good for everyone in Guyana. And if you could be happy, if you could be educated, if you could be well fed, if you could be well entertained, Guyana is going to be a great place.
In West Berbice, the president urged citizens to hold strong to the value of fellowship, which is best exemplified at Christmas time.
We want you to be happy. We want you to know that Christmas is about children. Christmas is about faithfulness, and Christmas is about fellowship. All of us come together. We forget our differences. We forget our religion. We forget racial differences. We forget geographical differences. And we all come together because we are children and we're looking forward to living a good life in this beautiful country.
This week in the Presidency and Beyond, we take you inside the reception that was hosted by the First Lady last week for His Royal Highness Prince Harry at State House. He had the opportunity to interact with teenage mothers and human trafficking victims who are part of the Women's Empowerment Program. The Women's Empowerment Program is being spearheaded by the Women Across Differences Group, which is a national network of women and women's organizations committed to individual and social transformation in Guyana.
Well, the Prince had requested a meeting with some vulnerable groups. He went to an orphanage this morning, and when I suggested meeting with girls who had been trafficked and teen mothers, he readily agreed. He was quite enthusiastic about it. So he came and he went around meeting and just talking to the girls and finding out about their circumstances. He appeared to be very interested in what their lives are like as young mothers, how they're getting on with their lives as teen mothers, and the kind of support they are getting. And when you think that sometimes these are girls who are criticized and set aside in society, it's a big boost for them. I mean, I had to frankly just tell them no selfies, no hugging, but they were very happy to be here, and I think they just feel very good about it and enthused about the whole concept that they have been able to meet Prince Harry and shake his hand. And he was interested in them, it seemed, genuinely.
The First Lady explained that the idea for this event stemmed from a conversation with British High Commissioner Mr. Greg Quinn, who, during the planning phase of the Prince's visit to Guyana, said that he was very interested in meeting with vulnerable groups. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's program. Thank you for joining me. For regular updates on the Ministry of the Presidency, go to our website, www.motp.gov.gy. Like our Facebook page, Ministry of the Presidency, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MOTP Guyana. Do have a safe and productive rest of the week. Goodbye.